Hey, welcome back to AussieVerse. Thank you very much for joining us. There was a really weird sound that was happening at the end of that intro. I don't know what the hell was going on there, which is why we're all looking at each other so weirdly. I am OmniBeau, joined by Sharif, Steve, and Grodd Watson. How are you, boys?
Hello, gentlemen.
I'm just sweating. It's too hot here in Queensland.
Hang on, Steve. I'm interested. You said gentlemen there. Well, I don't think you're referring to us, are you?
No, wrong show.
Please feel free to go to Instagram and check us out on as AussieVerse _Comx, where you can interact with us and give us suggestions for the show, any other top picks, any other topics of discussion, any other things that you'd like to talk about, or give us feedback on. While you're there, also check out our graphic designer and our editor, A51_designs. Today, we are here to discuss our top 5 Superman villains. Let's get down to it. Alrighty. Where are all the picks? Okay, there we go. All right, beauty. So we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To start mine off, I am a child of the I'm born in the 80s, but I say child of the 90s because that's when you actually grew up, right? So I read comics, Death of Superman. No, what do you mean?
That was before that. Read my ancient.
No, but my point I was making is that you say you're a child of the 90s when really you're a child of the 80s, but you grew up in the 90s. So I don't know if you're a child of the 80s or the 90s. Anyway,
70s.
My point is that I'm all over Death of Superman and its characters. So my number 5 of top 5 Superman villains is none other than Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman. I loved that dude because it was such a mystery, the Death of Superman, when you were reading it for the first time. And everybody had their own picks as to who they thought Superman was, if it was anybody at all. And I remember reading Death of Superman for the first time, and I wanted it to be the Cyborg Superman. I wanted Cyborg Superman to be Superman because it was just so cool looking. And I thought, imagine that Superman being the new Superman. Alas, he wasn't. He was a villain, a huge freaking villain after the Death of Superman as well. So, yeah, Cyborg Superman. Sharif.
My number 5. Right. This villain doesn't really show his face much, but in one of the comics that came out in the 80s, I think, Toyman. in one of the most darkest things that Toyman did, he kidnapped this girl, and Supes couldn't save her, and that kind of broke Superman for a bit. He went down a spiral, and he slowly over time he then picked himself up. But for me, to off a child, nah.
Yeah, wow.
That's why he made my list.
Wow. I was laughing because that picture is the one that you chose.
Yeah.
For Toyman, that's the one. Yeah, that's harsh as. Grodd. We will go with Steve next.
Yeah,
Number 5.
I'm skipping a little bit again.
Yeah. That's all right, mate. We'll go slowly. Maybe we'll do yours at the end all in one go. We'll see what happens. Steve, your number 5 is...
My number 5 is a really awesome character, Kryptonian Origins. Absolutely loved the portrayal that Terrence Stamp did of him in the movie. I thought he was very ominous. It was a really, really well done role. So I went for General Zod, my number 5.
Oh, stop that up. Sorry. There you go, General Zod. when
What
you
too? Or did I stuff up my?
when you said Terrence Stamp played him,
I
I had a
know, it's just
full-on brain fart. And I'm like, what? What's going on? Sorry, not the most professional here.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. But no, yeah, for me, General Zod, mate, very, very cool, very ominous character. Yeah, very Stanford. And an Aussie.
Yeah.
is he now?
He's an Aussie, mate. Yep.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest with you, mate.
then something new.
Every time I look at Terrence Stamp, I can't help but think of him in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I saw that at an age where that just like made an impact. That Terrence Stamp look.
That's a whole new episode, that one.
Grodd, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So my number 5 is going to be I don't know, show Metallo. Just basically Metallo. I kind of like the look, the old scientist sort of thing, and he has the kryptonite sort of heart, and he's just a different sort of villain, and I quite like it. I reckon he'd look quite cool if we saw him in a movie. I know we've seen a few television sort of versions of him, but yeah, I just like the cool look, and really recently at the moment in the Action Comics, he's got a really cool story too. So just recently, really got into Metallo.
Cool. Maybe tell me about that later. I'd like to know that. All right, number 4 for me is apparently this is a new thing where he's one of the smartest men in the world, or he's always been one of the smartest men in the world. Lex Luthor. Don't get me wrong, I've always known he was really, really smart, but I didn't realize he was like,
That's smart.
Yeah, man. I mean, how could you not have Lex Luthor in your list of 5 favorite Superman villains? I mean, the guy's just a dude with a brain, and he takes down a god.
He did. Yes, he did.
Mind you, the Jesse Eisenberg version.
Oh, get stuffed. Oh my god, I hate. Whoa.
It's terrible. It was just like a weird teenager. No.
Oh.
He's real hipster as well. Like it just didn't feel right.
No. There's nothing ominous or scary, or he didn't even come off as intelligent. He just came off as a weird, quirky teenager.
Yeah, I will never understand that casting. Gene Hackman, Spacey, him.
Spacey was good.
Yeah,
Spacey was a good choice. Yeah.
Moving on.
My number 4. There's a few iterations of him, but I always fall back on the animated Brainiac. Man, he steals worlds left, right, and center. Yeah, no planet can escape him.
I'm sure there's a crossover with Brainiac and Galactus somewhere.
That'd be cool.
I'm sure
That's not a bad idea.
There must be, because I'm just like sitting there thinking about Brainiac's like dinner table. He's got like all these planets. Galactus is just sitting there. Thank you. But in all seriousness, I'm sure there's a crossover somewhere where they're the villains and it's Superman and someone.
It'd be like a Step Brothers kind of movie, wouldn't it? Stop eating my planets.
Or it'd be like that food envy, just like, I should have ordered Earth. I knew it. It looks so tasty.
I already had Earth for breakfast.
Yeah. I saw it on the menu too, and I just
Steve-O.
For me, I went the same as Sharif, actually. The Collector of Worlds for number 4 for me as well. Brainiac's a really cool character, and that iteration in the Injustice game was really, really well done. Can't remember the guy's name that did the voiceover, but he just fitted that role really well. So, again, he's a really interesting character as well. So, number 4 for me was definitely Brainiac.
Extremely hard character to beat in the game. It took me so long. So, my number 4, I'm going to go Bizarro.
Nope.
Nope.
Apparently, you're not.
That one. There you go. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Bizarro. So, get rid of it. I really started to like Bizarro in Red Hood and the Outlaws, I guess, that sort of version. So, it's kind of a sweet sort of Solomon Grundy sort of version of him where you sort of, like, he's not always bad. He just follows the person that he respects the most. And sometimes that is Lex Luthor, who brainwashes him. So he's like a dog, I guess. So he's 5 years into too early of his cremation or whatever it is. And he's just basically like a 5-year-old, basically. And he just wants to be Superman. And then people can feed him any sort of story and he will believe it. And then he'll be that Superman. So I think it's sympathetic in a way. And I think it's really interesting. And, I always like Bizarro. Sometimes in comics, they do the Bizarro language, which does my head in a little bit. I don't like that too much. But otherwise, yeah, Bizarro's cool. And I love it if he's got his S on backwards and stuff like that. It's adorable. It's all adorable.
Me don't agree.
So that means you agree.
Is it me next?
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is a guy that I have not seen very much in the comics. I've only seen him, I think, maybe twice in 2 different sort of events. One being Crisis on Infinite Earth, I think was the original. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. You guys will be able to tell me with the whole DC side of things. And the other one was Blackest Night. My boy from my world, mate, Superboy Prime.
Yeah, that's Crisis on Infinite Earth, isn't it?
The Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, Infinite Crisis, yeah.
Mate, this guy, I feel so freaking sorry for this kid, man. Like, he's just like all of us. He just wants to be Superman, and then he becomes Superman, and things don't go his way, and then he turns into, like, the guy from Irredeemable and just starts killing people. And, yeah, man, like, the poor kid.
Makes you think, if it's really smart to have that kind of power before you actually mature.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely can't have X-ray vision.
Not gonna leave the house.
Or super speed. Or flying.
Again, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, okay.
My choice for number 3, he's the imp from the other dimension, Mr. Mischievous.
What's his name?
Mischievous. Yes, that's what I said. Look, he's a fun character until he's not. But yeah, it's so weird to just kick him out, have him say his name backwards. And how many times can you fall for that kind of trick? He kind of deserves it.
Why are all of your pictures the cartoon iterations?
I know.
Yeah, no, good call, mate. Good call. As a kid, Mr. Mixel-Pillick was very, very attractive as a kid. Not the character, I mean, like the
What?
The concept. Is that just got weed again?
Yeah, thank you.
We gotcha.
I just sort of heard you had a bit of a crush on him.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Steve?
Well, couldn't have a list without this guy in it. I guess he's more than just a Superman villain, but just one of the most powerful beings in the universe. And I went for Darkseid at number 3.
Darkseid is.
Yeah,
He looks stoned there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
He's awesome. He is just everything in something that you don't want to come to your planet.
Yeah.
He's got a real physical presence, doesn't he? Just scares you.
He does, correct, mate. Yeah, he's that ominous thing like Zod that I talked about a little bit earlier, but just his presence. And even though a lot of people don't like the Snyder movies, I thought the portrayal of Darkseid in the Snyder movies was actually really well done. He just looked scary.
And the Justice League movie, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, he looked great in that movie, I reckon.
That scene where he songs and all that sort of stuff. It was just all the different gods and everything. It was brilliant. Really, really well done. So I think he did that really well.
Right.
Over to you, mate.
My number 3 is Lex Luthor. Just as Bo said before, it's kind of hard not to have Lex on here. I had him pretty high. I find him quite interesting. It's a tricky situation because it all depends, I feel, with Lex Luthor on the writer or AKA the movie actor, I think, is the way it's portrayed. Because I think if Lex is done right, it is one of the most powerful villains in all of comic book history. If it's done right, there's a bit of inconsistency with Lex, I feel, which is why I put him at number 3. But if Lex is done right, like of Forever Evil, have any of you ever read that?
Yeah.
Lex is brutal in that. I go, that is awesome as Lex, and that's the Lex that I sort of like. And Gene Hackman, like you said before, perfect. But Jesse Eisenberg, no. There's been a few other iterations of Lex that I've read. I'm just going, I didn't quite hit the mark, but yeah, I think if Lex is done right, he is definitely up there as number 1 of all the villains. But yeah, it's just a bit of inconsistency for me. But he's still going to make it. So number 3, definitely.
I think he's the hardest one to write for because he's just human. It's very hard to just be consistent with different writers, where at least with someone like Superman and I don't know, whatever other characters, they are pretty black and white.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, like, think about it, Bo. Put yourself in the writer's shoes. Like, give me a Lex story, go, and you just be like, but if you go Darkseid, you go, all right, we'll conquer this world, or we'll try to, But with Lex, you've got to think up of something intelligent, something clever. It'd be hard. You're right.
But then again, with Lex, you've got so many facets of him that you could actually tap the businessman side, the scientist side, the leader of the villains.
Yeah.
So,
and plus, for the matter of the fact is, Lex kind of thinks he's doing the right thing. So it's kind of cool to go into that psyche sort of thing. He thinks that Superman's going to turn one day, so he's doing this for, well, I guess he's selfish reasons for starters, but for also reasons he wants to be the savior of the world, not Superman.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
He wants everyone to look at him as the savior. Exactly right, mate. I've just finished rereading the New 52 run of Justice League, and I just finished Volume 6, and it was really interesting because Wonder Woman put the lasso around him and said, "Why are you doing this?" He goes, "Because I want to be popular."
That's cool.
That is cool. Yeah, that is cool. All right, sweet. What's next?
2, you, Bo.
Number
I
2.
always lose track with these things, I can't help it. So, me number 2 is this man.
Ah, yes.
I love Bizarro, man. I've got such a massive soft spot for Bizarro. When I got rid of all my DC toys that I never wanted, I still kept my Bizarro figurine. When I got rid of all my pops that aren't Spider-Man or Venom, I kept my Bizarro pop. I've just always had a big soft spot for him. And yeah, especially as you mentioned, Mark, Red Hood. It's a very, very good series with him in it. Although towards the end it gets a bit weird because he starts really talking quite normally, and it's strange how he gets a bit that way. But anyway, there is other sides to Bizarro as well that I'm not a fan of. I remember there was this hardcover book Sharif was telling us about, and I was really excited to get it off him because it was a hardcover book all about Bizarro. And I assumed it was a book all about Bizarro's first appearances. Like a little omnibus sort of thing, and it was this one. And yeah, that is a Matt Groening cover, by the way, as well, Simpsons. And I don't know when I'll be able to ever read this book because I'm just going to put myself on big for one sec here. Because it is the most tripped out
Bizarro. Literally.
I'm just gonna go to random pages.
It's like it's come straight from his mind.
Uh,
How he sees things.
Well, it's usually a trope with Bizarro in stories because he imaginates it quite a bit.
So the whole book is like this.
Yeah.
So Sharif, did you ever read it?
Only the first half, because that was the only book that I have. Because that one, the one that you have, the first and the second book together.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you read it?
Not the second half yet. Not yet.
Okay. I just think small bursts with a book like that. But anyway, sorry to get off topic. Bizarro, number 2.
My number 2, I think the only character who has the cojones to actually ask Soups to kneel. Kneel before Zod. I mean, the movie was my first exposure to that character, and then when I went back to the comics and they fleshed him out more, and then when Krypton's supposed to be dead, but he's not, and he keeps popping back up, and the later versions has him so much more evil and powerful. I think, like the saying goes, a hero is only as good as his villains, and I think General Zod definitely puts Superman up there.
Yep.
Well said.
Well said, mate. Well said.
Yep. Steve?
Cool. For me, number 2, I went with Doomsday. Like, awesome character.
Yeah.
Great miniature, by the way. That looks brilliant. Yeah, we all look. Anyone who knows Superman knows Doomsday and knows what he did. It just the fact that you hit him with everything you've got, it just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. How do you stop something like that? I mean, you've got. I kind of look at him similar but different to Juggernaut from Marvel. Yeah, once he gets ahead of steam up, good luck. You can't stop him. He is just an absolute juggernaut, for want of a better term. So, and I just think he's a really, really interesting concept. So, Doomsday for me. Right. Over to you, mate.
So, yeah, number 2 for me is General Zod. So, same as Sharif. Look, General Zod is, I guess, to most people, well, obviously not to some of us, an underrated character. I think he's very an emotional attachment to Superman because he warned him about and he wanted to take action about Krypton and stuff like that, and he got punished for it and stuff like that, and he got put in the Phantom Zone, which would turn anyone crazy. I think the Phantom Zone is one of the worst punishments you could ever get. Just be put it into a zone where there's just nothingness. But yeah. So, and I kind of like General Zod, especially in the new since Rebirth. I like his new look with the cape and the Z on his chest. I love all the movie iterations, even the Henry Cavill version. I forget the actor's name, but I thought he was amazing as General Zod.
It's good.
Yeah, he got the emotion out of it because General Zod he's passionate about his Krypton. So,
I just laughed. I imagined a dude walking with that, wearing it on a shirt. I'm passionate about my Krypton.
Krypton, yeah. I'm passionate about it.
I just think tonight, with some of the things we've been talking about, everyone feels sorry for everyone. We should have called this episode "Sympathy for the Devil."
Honestly, I don't feel sorry for Zod though. I don't. But yeah, he's just a general. He's a soldier. He just wants to keep on. It's in his blood. Yeah, exactly. So, and he sees Kal-El as the one that got away, sort of thing. So, and wants to punish him because he hated his dad. So,
yeah, it's a personal vendetta that's generational.
Yeah, it's an emotional one. So, yeah.
Have Zod and Clark ever teamed up?
Yes.
I was going to say they must have, right, at some point.
In the 2000s comic where Krypton returned, and then and all of the inhabitants of what's
the new Krypton?
Kandor was enlarged, and then all the Kandorians kind of took over Earth, and then Superman tried to stop them, but because of his there was just too many of them, and then Zod said, don't even try, join us. Can't remember whether it was in the Science Council or in the military, but yeah, he wore the Krypton patch. He was, I think he was a soldier. So they were working together.
Wouldn't Zod have been with the Kandorians to take over Earth?
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact details, but I can tell you the details once I have them custom bound. It's already, yeah.
Is that? I think you're referring to the new Krypton saga. Maybe.
I think so. There were 3 arcs: World Without Superman, New Krypton, and something else.
No, World Without Superman is a part of the Death of Superman.
Yeah. That's the Dan Jurgens one. Sorry.
Because I've got a couple of hardcovers here that are New Krypton that I've never read because I don't know if I've got them all. And I'm assuming that's the storyline that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like 9 issues or 12 issues.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that more about that later. Where are we at?
We are number one.
Number one, Bo.
Number 2.
We're up to number 1, me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I went uploading all of these pictures. I don't know what the hell I did, but for some reason, when I went to upload my number 1 pick, okay, let's see if I can do this fast enough. My number 1 pick is Doomsday. Doomsday.
Oh,
Doomsday.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah. So obviously we're getting the pictures or trying to work out that overlay PNG format issue. Never you mind. Anyway, Doomsday. Doomsday is the greatest Superman villain of all time. Why? Because when you see Doomsday, and by you, I mean me, when you see Doomsday on a cover of Superman, that is when you know stuff is going to go down, man. Stuff is going to go down. You can have Zod, you can have Brainiac, you can have Luthor, you can have all of these top tier Superman villains on Superman covers, and unless they're doing something specific like holding Superman's cape ripped or standing over Superman's body, something obvious, all of these other characters don't give you the same feeling that just having Doomsday on a cover, no matter what the hell Doomsday's doing, gives you that feeling.
Yeah.
Doomsday.
Something might happen to Superman, or fair chance it will happen to Superman, and he's going to be up for a challenge. And too, you're not going to be doing much reading because it's going to be all action scenes. It's going to be fights. So it's going to be a lot of good artwork because he's very good design.
I'd love a Doomsday omnibus.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Coming. My number one, I have to thank this villain because without him, this wouldn't even come out. And it's the same for me, Doomsday. Thing like Steve mentioned earlier, to fight Doomsday, you got to be quick on your feet. You got to know how to hit him hard and hit him differently this time, because with every encounter, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And where previously Zod only asked Superman to kneel, Doomsday had him by his feet. That's it.
Doomsday said, "Eat this."
Yeah, Steve?
Yeah. Well, with Doomsday, Sharif, that he's not going to hold back.
Sure.
He had one purpose. For me, number one, I went with Luthor. Considering he's just a man with no powers, abilities, anything like that, very cerebral criminal, and that's why I think when we were talking before that some people do struggle to write for him because there's just so many different aspects to his character. As we talked about, there's the guy that wants to be liked, there's the egomaniac, there's the scientist, there's the politician. He's just got so many different aspects to him, which makes him a very, very interesting character to really sort of delve into a little bit further. So I think he's absolutely brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing whenever that next iteration in the movie is, who's going to be playing that role. So if it's not OmniBeau, I'll be really happy. So Luthor for me at number one.
Oh
Right.
man, when you mentioned the politician, the run when he was president. Oh,
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. So again, to go off your point there, Steve, was what we were talking about before. So many different sort of ways you can go with Lex Luthor. I guess that's why it can be difficult to sort of put him as your number one, or because everyone's got a different interpretation of how they like Lex Luthor. I guess I reckon we all four of us would like. Which sort of side do we like about Lex? Again, that's another testament to how good of a character he is because he has so many different layers and sides to him. It's an interesting character to break down, man. Yeah, it might be something we could do in this show at some stage, break down the years of Lex Luthor and see how many different sort of changes and twists and turns that he has and break down the actual psyche of the character. Kind of cool.
Yeah. And as you said,
and these pseudo psychologists.
Yeah.
And he appeals to everyone for that, exactly what you said, mate, that, there's people that like different aspects of him and we all probably appreciate different things about him. So, yeah, he'd be a very interesting character to do a breakdown of.
100%. So my number one is Cyborg Superman, Hank Henshaw. Now, Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman's been one of my favourite villains, or up there in the top 5 or 6 favourite villains of all time. I just love the, well, for starters, he looks freaking cool. like every comic book that he's in, it just looks cool as, like, especially just the way he's drawn and stuff like that. But I like the Hank Henshaw sort of backstory to the, it's kind of got a Fantastic Four to it. They go into outer space they come back and they've all got like disabilities, and so a couple of them have disappeared. A few of them commit suicide because they're going crazy. Hank Henshaw's missing. He's just like an energy. So he can move in and out of like energy fumes, and he goes into the TV and he tries to speak to his wife through the TV. She thinks she's going crazy, so she commits suicide. And it's just like, fuck, big shit sandwich for bloody Hank Henshaw. So what else does he go to? He goes to villain. He wants to sort of destroy Superman because he didn't save them and stuff like that. And I think it's a good concept. He's still a guy that misses his wife, wanted to have a family and stuff like that. He still has a good guy in him, but yeah, it's just he's more corrupted through anger and stuff like that. I think it's quite interesting. I don't think there's enough stories done about him lately over the time. I know he only got really created in the 80s. I think this Death of Superman, 30 years now. So I think there's a lot more to explore with him, because I do think that he's a character that everyone will enjoy, and especially me. So yeah, number one.
There we have it.
There we have it. All done. Oh man! All right, there's so many things I want to talk about as well during that. Just makes you want to talk. Like this new cyborg Superman from the villains, New 52 stuff. Lex Luthor, Metallo, General Zod. Yeah, all great picks. All right.
I'll join in, add to something too. I do think, like, when you do think about and break down villains, apart from Spider-Man and Batman, I do think Superman has an underrated villain rogues gallery. I think he has a really good rogues gallery. When you break, like we have tonight, when you break it down, there's just some really good, cool villains. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. I love the Flash villains, but yeah, we'll get to that another time.
Mongol. No one said Mongol.
I had him on my short list, man. I do like him. Metallo just picked him off.
God, the Eradicator, that was nearly on mine.
Eradicator, he's cool. He's a Superman with sunnies.
Yeah. Parasite.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that, is it Sharif mentioned Toyman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy about that. That's good, because I thought about Toyman as well. I'm going, is anyone else going to mention him?
Yeah.
Silver Banshee technically a Superman villain?
Silver Banshee is, yes.
Yes.
Bloodsport is as well.
Bloodsport, yep. What was the female with the orange hair? Or the Queen? She was a queen. She came to Earth to make Superman her mate.
Maxima?
Maxima. I remember reading that as a kid. I'm like, Superman, what are you doing? She's hot.
Yeah, like, with her big red hair.
He's like, no, I'm going to stay on Earth. I'm like, dude, you crazy? Go. Anyway.
No, but he did have that that adult film scene with Big Barda though.
Would have got broken.
All right. Mark, take us out of there, because I see you are wearing the shirt today. What is that about?
This is Comx. So Comx is our sponsor, and it is all Australian comics. You go onto Comx, you'll see the ad soon. We'll put it up for you. But they've got great content. Only one flat shipping rate. Go on there, go have a browse, and just pick up some comics. See how you go. I picked up 2 this week, actually, so hopefully they're coming. I picked up Shane Sizzle's comic.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I picked it up last night. And one of Rob's. So I'm looking, the Devil's Toilet. So I'm looking issue 1. So I'm looking forward to getting that.
So,
So,
picking that one up as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so check it out. It's easy to follow on the website. You just click on the one you want. You can click up the writers and everything. So you go check it out. And here's a word from our sponsor.
But before we do that, Sharif, what is AussieVerse?
Oh, of course, it's for life.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.